Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2005 Dodge Dakota SLT. Up front is a 3.7 liter V6, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Dodge Dakota because this now marks the third generation of Dakota. It started here in 2005, and I've now driven every generation of the Dakota. The first generation, the second generation, and now the third gen. Funny enough, all in red or a shade of red. I'll give the pink one a pass. But I'm excited to share with you the third generation Dodge Dakota here today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zachbradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3.7 liter V6. Well, we've seen that in several other Chrysler and Dodge products of the era. The Jeep Liberty had this V6, the Dodge Nitro, the Durango. So it was a pretty well-known engine, and the owner says that he's had pretty good luck with it up here at 173,000 miles. There were a couple oil leaks that he had to address, and the transmission cooler lines went, which is a pretty typical Dodge thing. It happened to my brother's Durango and my own Dodge Ram. So some things here and there. It's not going to be an absolutely bulletproof steel box, but all things considered, it's done pretty well for 173K. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. I would not trust this transmission super well, but again, it's lasted 173,000 with towing, and it doesn't show a sign of stopping anytime soon. Last but not least, this particular Dakota is rear-wheel drive. However, of course, at the time, you could find them in 4-wheel. How does it feel to drive the Dodge Dakota, the third gen? Well, the steering is a little bit light. It does, of course, ride like a pickup truck, and what I mean by that is harsh. It has a harsh ride, it's not very plush, but again, that's not the point of this vehicle. And with that steering, you kind of almost feel like you're steering up and over the vehicle, if that makes any sense. It's hard to describe, but the Nissan Frontier also feels this way. So maybe it's just a mid-sized truck feeling, but it's just not super precise, not super exact, but that's okay. This isn't meant for carving canyons. It's meant for doing light jobs around town. And that's what it's actually very good at. Visibility is okay. You do have relatively thick A-pillars. However, rear visibility is decent, and overall, it's fine. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is the coolant temperature and fuel. In the center is the speedometer, and off to the right is the tachometer. On the steering wheel, we do have cruise control options to the left and the right, as well as our little Dodge logo. Off to the left, we do have a climate vent, as well as our headlight switch, fog light switch, gauge dimmer switch, and fog light switch. And moving on to the door, we have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Up above, you do have a little information center. This is really nice. It gives you a digital compass, it gives you the outside temperature, and you could cycle through, and it'll show you your MPG if you really just want to ruin your day. Moving into the center, we get 2 more climate vents and the radio. I really do like this wood accented piece around the edge of it. I think that's actually quite nice. And down below, we have the climate controls, fan speed off to the left, temperature in the center, where to send it off to the right, and yes, the AC still works, which I am very thankful for. Down below, we do have a power outlet, but that's kind of it. You have tons and tons of cubby space to work with down here, some of which are cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and not only does it pass with the front 2 cup holders that are adjustable, but there's a third larger cup holder that also passes the big friggin' bottle test. So this is a triple win for the big friggin' bottle in the 3rd gen Dakota. Then we have more cubby space and the heated seats. Definitely very nice to see heated seats here in a mid-size pickup. Pickup trucks are normally last on the list to get nice features, So it's nice to see that here. And then we do have an opening center console with another power outlet and some coin holders. The seats are comfortable, they are a cloth, and this era of Dodge, the cloth that they use still feels a very 90s cloth, which I personally like. There is sort of a warmth and nostalgia to them. They're very comfortable, you sink right into them, and honestly, I feel like I'm home when I'm in them, so that's a nice thing to feel. However, speaking of seats, this is a 4-door, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, we're in the back of the 2005 Dodge Dakota SLT, and a couple of things to note. First of all, not great. However, trucks of this size always suffer in the back seat. That's a huge reason why a lot of people upgrade to the full-size trucks, is for this rear seat space. I fit back here well enough. I actually fit back here better than like the modern Tacoma or vehicles of that nature. So it's not awful. Would I want to ride cross-country back here? Probably not, but I do fit. You can fit 4 fellas out to the work site, or if you throw the bikes in the back to go biking, you can fit 4 people in here pretty comfortably. Again, this was a reason why people would upgrade, but at least it has back seats, it has back doors, and just a decade prior to this, the Chevy S10 and the Ford Ranger had little tiny back seats that were absolutely awful. So this is a big upgrade over those tiny little jump seats of the 90s, so I'll take what I could get back in '05. But let's hop into the bed and talk about some cargo space. All right, around the back of the Dakota SLT, very simple tailgate here, and that's it. That is the bed. You do have just standard cables on either side. Very, very easy, very traditional. There's no coffee makers, no speakers, no LED lights doing little light shows, none of that. Just plain cargo space. We do have tie downs at all 4 corners, which is very nice, and this does have a plastic bed liner. Some of them were sprayed, some of them didn't come with them, so your Dodge Dakota might look slightly different, but very, very cool to see around the back of the 3rd gen Dakota. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I actually quite like the look of the 3rd gen Dakota. As the owner pointed out to me, it has these really exaggerated body lines that almost give it a somewhat muscle truck kind of look. It has these big broad shoulders, and I like that. I like the overall look of the Dakota. I think it was styled really well, and you have to give it to Dodge. They normally have the best looking trucks, at least going back to the late 80s. So the design team has been killing it since day one, and that's no different here with the 3rd gen Dakota. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving now the 3rd generation? Well, I'm very split. First of all, I do think that this is a nice truck. It has good amenities like the heated seats, and the interior is relatively inviting. It doesn't feel like I was sentenced to 25 to life while driving. And it's a good size for a city truck. If you need to move lawnmowers or whatnot, this is going to be a great size without overhanging every single parking spot when you have to run to the store. However, the other half of my brain does say that this is a slightly dulled down version of what the Dakota used to be, especially coming off of the 2nd gen Dakota. The 2nd gen Dakota was basically a little muscle truck. You could get them with 5.9 liter V8s, almost a 6.0. You could get that in the Dakota. You could get several different V8s in that. And while the V8 was actually retained for the 3rd generation, they switched to a 4.7 liter V8. And at the end of its life, it was making 310 horsepower, which still isn't a slouch. It just kind of lost that muscle truck flair. Yes, they had an RT package for this era, but it was only an appearance package, nothing else. It didn't add any special performance bits. It just looked like it did. However, there's reason for that. In the 2000s, mid-sized truck sales started to fall, and we saw the Dakota get canceled in 2011 and the Ford Ranger get canceled in 2012. The Colorado also got canceled, but the date of that is escaping me. I can't remember when that happened. But basically, after 2008, there wasn't really a market for mid-sized trucks, and there's 2 reasons for that. Of course, there was the economic downturn of 2008, so when families were deciding on what new vehicle to buy, they usually prioritized a family vehicle over a pickup truck. So there was just less demand. The other reason is that back in this era, a decent spec Dakota was going for the same price as a lower tier Ram 1500. So why wouldn't you get a bigger engine, more towing capacity, bigger size, and more amenities for nearly the same price? It kind of knocked the Dakota out of contention. Not a lot of people wanted to buy it because there was a better option for nearly the same amount of money. So at the end of 2011, Dodge, then Ram at the time, canceled the Dakota. And so far, it is the only one of the three that hasn't made its return. The Colorado has gone back on sale, as well as the Ranger has gone back on sale, and even the Ford Maverick is on sale now. American midsize trucks are back, and yet the Dakota remains missing. There are talks of possibly bringing it back in future models. I think Dodge sees that they need to do something in this market that is dominated by the Toyota Tacoma, Nissan Frontier, the Ranger, the Colorado. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Dakota does make a revival. But for now, this was it for the 2000s. And it's honestly a lovely little truck. Maybe a shell of what it used to be in the 90s, but that doesn't mean this wasn't good. I think products are allowed to change and morph with the market. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to mature and change your ideas. It's actually part of growing up. So I miss the Dakota. I think the market does need something like this because I think Dodge got it really right back here in 2005. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Tony for letting me borrow his Dodge Dakota for today's video and allowing me to complete my trilogy of Dakota generations. Who knows if we'll see a reprise. But Tony's been absolutely wonderful. I also reviewed his 1955 Dodge, so please go check out that video. That was an absolutely wonderful runner of a vehicle, and it was so fun to drive. Tony's absolutely great, and I look forward to working with him more in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.